I'm the bossy boot, so I got to do this job. I'd just like to, first of all, let us all say congratulations again to the happy bride and groom. Yay!
Congratulations!
And now is for the groom's speech. Here you are, Dave.
Thank you very much, Rach. Well, welcome everybody. I'm the only speech, so this is all you're going to get, so you better enjoy it. And we're all crammed in here, and I appreciate you all making the best of it, so I'm not going to keep you for far too long. Just a few points first of all to say welcome to Emily Farmhouse. You'll all have noticed that this is a rather eccentric building, and so quite fitting, I think, for the occasion and for the personalities involved. So welcome, do explore it, do explore upstairs if you'd like to. Do look at the well. What's the well? If you haven't seen the well, you should see the well. Plenty of people have seen the well, so they'll be able to direct you. It's a wonderful place. The weather is pretty good. You can roam around as well. We don't have neighbours, so you will not harass them. Delighted that you can all be here and make it today. It's great to see so many people, familiar faces from all over. So many Churchills, so many Barneses, and so many points in between. You'll obviously have noticed that food and drink is freely available. Do take advantage of this situation. As we'd hope. The food has obviously been on offer already. There's shortly to be some cake, including the cake, of which more shortly. And later on there'll be a kind of a supper rolls thing. But the rest of the food, if you see food about and you feel hungry, then you should definitely eat that food. If you can't find any drink that you want, then ask somebody or go hunting yourself, because it's probably somewhere. There's a rather large amount of drink around. A few points of housekeeping. If you have any questions or if anything is at all unclear, you'd be best to ask members of my family. My parents, mum, dad, sister Sarah, Pete, where's Pete gone? Brother Pete, Rachel. These are the people who tend to be most au fait with the arrangements. If you're really stuck, then you can of course ask me, because I should probably know. Later on, what's going to happen is going to be the cutting of the cake, of course. That's going to happen shortly after my speech. So if you haven't had a look at the cake, you should definitely go and check it out after this. It's through in that direction. And then later on there'll be a wedding quiz, which I'm sure you're all looking forward to. The quiz is based around, this is a short piece of information, the quiz is based around 10 questions around myself and 10 questions around Caroline. So the competitive amongst you will already notice that it is an advantage to pool resources widely, to mix the teams freely. And while the prize isn't exactly eminently worth winning, I hope it will be at least a token of your triumph in that respect. Another quick thing, through in somewhere over there in that direction in the breakfast room, you will see on the side there is now an album and a few note cards, grey note cards, and some pens there. If you'd like to leave a message, then write it on the note cards and deposit it on the little bowl kept there. What will then happen is we will then put some of the note cards in the album with some photographs and things. It'd be great to have a note to commemorate your presence here if you'd like to leave one for us. You've all got cameras, it seems, so my plan of leaving my camera lying around was rather redundant, but please do share your photographs once you have them. You know, don't just forget about them or whatever. We'd love to have them all here at some point in some electronic form. That would be superb. And the final point of housekeeping is with regards to transport arrangements. I know that some of you have already got your transport sorted out. If you haven't, then my brother Pete, who will wave his hand now, has got a list of taxis. So if you need a taxi, it'd be best to contact Pete for the relevant number. There is not an extensive taxi service in this local area, so you'd be best to ring up a little way in advance and explain that you're in a slightly out of the way location. They should be able to find you eventually, but don't necessarily rely on it being absolutely to the minute. That would be my advice. So there we go. I think that's most of the housekeeping sorted out. Now you've gathered that there's a rather large amount of work that's gone into putting this whole thing on today. I've nominally organised the event, but the real legwork's really been done by a selection, a crack team of excellent impromptu mass caterers and wedding organisers. And particular thanks are due to a few people in no particular order at all. First of all, thanks to the National Trust. They own this building, if you don't know. It's a holiday cottage, and we're very grateful to the National Trust for preserving buildings like this and making them available for public use. Thanks also to Seth Gulliver, who's a man who will mean nothing to any of you, and I've never met him, but he was very helpful. He's not here, but thanks, Seth. And thanks also to Sally, the housekeeper, who I have met, and is lovely. She's the one who cleans and deals with the building in between, so thanks to those folks. They'll get something in the post. Thanks also to the good folk at Guildford Register Office. Those of you there earlier on will have seen that they did a fine job of proceedings. Thanks very much to Graham, for various miscellaneous duties, for organising a mercifully civilised stag do. And thanks also on that note to Pete for supplying the token lederhosen. And more importantly for not losing the rings, which we're very happy now to be wearing. So thank you also to Caroline's mother Liz, who has helped out with various preparatory remarks, and particularly with regard to selecting the dress, which we'll later on. Thank you to my parents, who perhaps are due their own round of applause.
Oh, yeah.
That's Martin and Sue, who have been heroic. Really heroic. In their efforts with regard to all things catering, planning, etc. When you see the cake, if you've not seen the cake already, you will notice the cake is wonderfully, beautifully made by my mum, and they really deserve very special thanks for all their efforts. Thank you to all of those who stayed in the house. That is my parents, all of Caroline's close family, also Kimberly and Jackie, Caroline's childhood friends, for mucking in and for making everything possible for the day.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much to my sister-in-law, Rachel, who has been very diligent with regard to decorations, who also made all the invitations for the event today, and who also has provided much sage counsel about all matters wedding related. And on the point of decorations, if you were thinking, oh, you know, that's a wonderful, sorry, not decorations, a wonderful invitation. I wish I had a sister-in-law who was so good at making invitations. Well, then you're lucky because, well, you don't necessarily have that sister-in-law, but do keep your eyes peeled for, is it Reyes Churchill Craft?
Oh, I'm not sure yet. Maybe Rachel Craft.
Maybe Rachel Craft. A craft business is in the offing, which such beautiful invitations could be obtained. So I'm looking around. There should be a few people who might be in the market. You know who you are. But genuinely, Rose, thank you very, very much indeed for all your efforts. Where am I on my list? I'm there. Thank you very much indeed for George. George, the man with the camera, who powered over here earlier than most, in spite of great logistical difficulty, in order to take some photographs. We're very, very grateful indeed, George, for you making the effort there. Thank you to Caroline's Knitting Club. You know who you are, and associate members thereof, for organising a fine impromptu hen party. Thank you very much to everybody else. Thank you very much to Sister Sarah, for parting a huge amount of beer and tea lights and various other bits and pieces. And thank you also to all of the rest of you who I have neglected to mention for making the day what it is. Now, I said I wouldn't keep you too long, and I'm doing my best to keep to that promise. I sort of have two more things that I'd like to say while I've got you all here. The first is, obviously, thank you very, very much indeed, Caroline, for agreeing to marry me. Caroline's never easy at the centre of attention. I won't embellish this too much, but I'd just like to say that I think I've been incredibly lucky to find such a beautiful person. Somebody who is, of course, my best friend, but also an ideal companion for all things. Somebody to travel through life with, somebody to confide in, somebody to trust in all times. Someone who sustains my excitement for life and my pleasure at discovering the world. Somebody who, not least, puts up with long rambling stories about historic policemen and criminals and drunkards and locksmiths and all other characters who no one really should should have to give a moment's thought to. So, Caroline, I love you eternally, and thank you so much. And that leads me on, actually, to my last point, which is thank you all for coming. And that's not a kind of a sort of inevitable coda to the speech, but a genuinely a thanks to you all for being here, because a wedding, it struck me, is a public event. You know, over time, Caroline and I, like I'm sure all couples, have shared in intimate moments our own private, you know, declarations of love, our own sharing our thoughts amongst ourselves. But this is now kind of supplemented and crowned really with this moment, this day here today, which is a public thing. And I'm especially happy to have such a great contingent of family here as well, from all parts, from Essex, from Hertfordshire, from London, from Liverpool, from Bournemouth, from California, family, friends indeed, from Canada and elsewhere. It's great to have so many people here to share in this day. Not just to share in it, but to make it really. Because without you all here, it wouldn't be a wedding day. And it's great to have so many family here, because this is a generational moment. Okay, this is a point of transition, I think, in the history of our families. And it's the moment in which we establish a new unit. What I'm thinking of is a mini commune of ourselves. A commune legally of property, of course, but also of trust, of love, of friendship, which in due course we obviously hope will grow and to develop into a flourishing family itself. And thanks to the rest of you as well, for all of you for being here, because without you coming it wouldn't really have been a wedding day in the sense that I've just sort of outlined. You're all making this a kind of a living moment right now, which is going to be with us for the rest of our lives, and I hope in some smaller way will be with all the rest of you too. It's so touching to see so many of you here, to have so many of you to share in this, to make it what it is. And so therefore, coming right to the conclusion now, I'd like to quickly propose a toast. Do you all have a glass? Yes. Hopefully. There's some very diligent people wandering around giving people glasses, so everyone should have a glass. So the toast is to love, to companionship, and to time together.
Cheers.
And that's about all I have to say. Enjoy the rest of your day, and thank you very much for taking
Well done, David. Beautiful.